and go. Go, we made it.
Hey.
Hey.
Yes, we made it.
I get to push the button.
Oh, well, I get to push this button. Found one. Okay. Here's one. See, I pushed
Hey,
it. It
good.
didn't look
good.
like it did anything, but there was a button on my pen I pushed. I'm fine. Thanks.
Nice.
All right. Well, welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday, the show where we talk about whatever is on your mind, whatever is concerning you, worrying you, or just, anything really. If you got a topic that you'd like us to cover, maybe it's wisdom, maybe something you have recently learned in your life that you want to share with us. That's totally cool too. This is a show where we talk about all of that. Of course, we are not psychiatrists, psychologists, or anything along those lines.
We're not psychics either.
We're not psychics either. Yeah, we have no psychonetic powers. But one thing we can do is drink liquid. Great example. And another thing we can do is another thing we can do is be a friend. We've lived lives and had many mistakes, many failures, and we've come to learn from them. And hopefully we can save you time in your life by telling you about ours, and help you move forward in your life in the most, I guess, with the most ease and most peace as possible. But anyways, if you have a topic, you can post it in the chat here, or you can post it on our website, bss.studio, or send us an email if you want to remain anonymous at dww@bss.studio. I can put that link down, https:// okay, bss.studio. There's the site for you.
That is.
Yeah.
That is. Now, if you want to go exactly to the place where you will post your topic.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, you can feel free to give that link. That's a
I'll
little
put
bit better.
that link on here too.
So in case you didn't realize already, Princess is not here with us today. So it's just me and Joe. And we don't have anyone running the scene in the background to give us the links. So Joe is finally going to get his chance to shine, to be posting links. I bet you Joe's super excited.
Oh my gosh.
Joe, are you excited?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Actually, it's really nice to have Princess when she's here because it helps out a ton. Yes. But we'll be doing it without her today. So wish us the best. Pray for us. And, yeah.
If the show falls apart, then
and that's your fault.
You know that
that's your fault. Oh, sorry, I'm not supposed to blame it on them. Oh, okay.
It's my fault.
Oh, okay.
Because I get to push the button. So like, yeah. So I'm.
Yeah.
But you're
if
the
it falls
host.
apart, you can always just press that button and be like, "Yep."
I'd be like, "We're done.
Gone. We're done.
It's over.
We're done.
Over." So yes. So announcement. We are hoping that starting next week we will be able to start these an hour earlier. We have a goal. We have Wednesdays are big nights for us. We have our staff meeting, and then we have this show, and we're attempting to cut our staff meeting down to focus our energies on what's important and do all that kind of stuff, and then run right into this show. And we wanted to make it a little bit earlier for folks that would like an earlier time, which we've gotten some feedback. That seems to be kind of a consistent thread, that it might be good to do these earlier. So we're gonna try for you guys.
So we're gonna go for one hour earlier next week and then on forward is what we're aiming for. So real quick, Random Lover of Physics and the Universe said, if I want to post a topic, would you prefer that I post it on BSS? If you
want to post it for this show, I would say put it in the chat.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. For this time, post in the chat. It's going to be a lot easier for us. Even if it's a couple of lines long, it's okay. Because right now, since it's just Joe and I, we have to keep several tabs open, and to keep an extra tab open on the website is a little tricky. It's not too hard, but it's it would be even easier for us if you just did it right here in the chat,
Hmm.
if you didn't mind at all.
Yep. Yep. And
Um,
Princess is okay. It's just Thanksgiving's tomorrow, and there's holiday
yeah,
stuff going on and everything.
yeah.
You know, those for those of you who are not from the United States, we have this holiday on the last Thursday of November, Thanksgiving. It's the greatest holiday ever because all you do is you get together and eat food.
Some people really like food.
Hmm. I enjoy food. I enjoy turkey. And
Okay.
that's generally the dish of choice is turkey, like roast
How do you like your
turkey,
turkey?
mashed potatoes, cooked.
I like it raw. So, no, I'm just kidding.
You're playing with fate.
Well, I mean, yeah, you just said like, okay, how do you like your turkey? Do you like it? Do you like the white? Do you like the dark? Do you like it with gravy on top? Do you like it with cranberry sauce? Or do you like it plain? Or do you like it moist? Or do you like it dry? All sorts of different questions.
I don't usually like it dry. That's why I prefer dark meat instead of light meat,
Okay.
which is great because most people prefer white meat, and I prefer dark meat. And so there's
Yeah.
usually plenty of dark meat. And then
Nice.
I'll
Yeah,
take
that's
that
a
dark
victory.
meat, and then I'll take gravy and I'll dump it all over it.
Turkey
And
gravy.
turkey gravy.
Nice.
Yep. And then there's mashed potatoes, and then there's stuffing, and then a lot of times there's pumpkin pie or some kind of pie for
Oh
dessert. And you
yeah.
sit there and man, it's crazy. It's a weird Thanksgiving because there's all kinds of quarantines going on. So it's
Yeah.
like so
For
so we
you
can't get
countries that
together.
don't have Thanksgiving, go out and get one.
Yeah.
Go and get yourself a Thanksgiving. Just start a revolution or something in your country, and then have a celebration.
Mm.
And call it, and just be thankful for what you have.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And Saul, I gotta give you props for that. Give thanks. Do not
Yes,
forget
that
to
is
give
important.
thanks. Yes.
That's what's the name of the holiday. If we didn't do
Hmm.
that, then it's like, why are we calling it Thanksgiving? We should just call it food giving.
Right, exactly. But it's weird, like corporate America and all of the powers in marketing and advertising. It seems like they want to get rid of Thanksgiving because they
Hmm.
start putting their Christmas stuff out in
Uh,
the stores like right after Halloween.
yeah, yeah.
And it's like you're totally skipping the best holiday ever, which is Thanksgiving.
There are
Like,
rare things for Thanksgiving which you can buy, or few things I should say, which mostly of them are most of them are decorations, like just things, odds and ends you put around your house and on your shelves.
mhm.
Generally, there you don't buy gifts for people and stuff, so I don't think that a lot of companies make a whole lot of money on Thanksgiving other than food.
That's true. So grocery, yeah, grocery stores do good. Jono has a good question. As Catholics, do you find Thanksgiving more important than Christmas? I didn't say more important. Because if we're going by importance of holiday, Easter is the
Easter,
holiday. Yep,
Easter.
Easter is the one. That's like that's the hinge point holiday right there. And then
Yeah,
Christmas, and then probably Halloween, All Hallows Eve. Um,
yeah.
you got
There's a
that
lot
up
of good
there.
ones though, and there's a lot of celebrations, many ones, and feast days and stuff like that throughout the year for Catholics. So
Hmm.
um,
Oh yeah.
we
Well,
have a
every
good
day is a
time.
feast day. Like if you
Every day's a feast day. That's actually true, pretty much. My favorite, and it's not necessarily a holiday; it's a whole season. But I really like Lent,
Uh-huh.
the season of fasting. It's so powerful. It just, and then the big finish afterwards of Easter is just so great.
It is cool.
Um, I love that season. But anyways, I digress. Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. We're gonna get back to the subject at hand.
Yeah, we don't have
Why don't
Princess
we
to
start
to,
this
to be
show?
like, hey, you guys want to start or something?
Yeah, right, right. I can just see her, in her ghost form posting. Ghost isn't like, not that she's dead, just the imagination of her.
Awesome.
Okay, so today I'm going to run down the list real quick. And if any of you are here, please make yourself known in the chat by posting anything you would like. So we've got Royal, Sevlev, SK, Awkward, Pika, Kaneki, Jesse, Khan Vulcan, Sparrow, Amira, Claire, and Baka Breaker. There's an extra ER at the end of that one. I always forget it.
Baka
Baka
Breaker.
Breaker.
Yes.
Box. Nice.
All right.
Oh.
Let's see. What is YouTube?
Oh, sweet.
So-
we got Khan here.
We do have Khan. We've got Khan here, and we've got Baka Breaker. And Caleb says Kaneki is here.
Kaneki is here. Caleb, are you Kaneki?
And Random is posting the topic in the chat right now. So I'm gonna. Okay.
Okay,
Caleb is
you are.
Kaneki. All right. Cool.
Okay, yeah, it does say warning. Warning. I don't know if that's okay. It's fine. On our list here, we have today. So it's a cue. It's to show us what topics we have, and under the warnings it says Caleb Kaneki, and it's like that's not a warning. That's a note. Warning is a bit intense. Warning. This is Caleb. All right. Oh, your Wi-Fi is pretty bad though. Okay. Is it all right if we do yours, or should we hold off until maybe your Wi-Fi clears up a bit? Is it gonna get any better? Hey Claire, doing great. How are you doing?
I'm trying to.
You're trying to copy paste the link.
I'm trying to copy paste.
Okay.
This topic that Random is putting in the chat, so we can remember it.
Cool, thank you. I posted the link for anybody who wants to read along while we go over this topic. This is from Kaneki, and the title is Commitment and Time Management. Oh, this is a good one. I think Joe is usually really good at managing his own time, far better than I am.
Ooh boy, give me a second. Let me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let me know whenever you are set.
All right.
Because I know obviously you're.
Thank you for posting a link, by the way.
Yeah. Hey Ash, how's it going? Nice to see you. Oh, Claire, you're doing pretty bad actually, you said. But I am better now. Oh, you were doing pretty bad, but you're better now. Well, I'm glad that you're doing better now. Yeah. Through your bad time, did you learn anything new? Did you discover anything that made you feel better? Or did time pass, or did things change? Just out of curiosity. I'm just trying to carry a tune here while Joe does the hard work.
I'm ready now.
Okay.
I'm ready now.
All right. Let's do it then. Okay. Once again, this is Kaneki, Commitment and Time Management. It reads as follows. This is my first year in high school, which is kind of scary for me. For years, I've just done school and then sit and play video games or watch anime, neither of which is productive. Lately, I've been wanting to actually do something, like write stories or make art. I don't have many friends at the moment, since I haven't really met anyone at my new school due to Corona. My point with that is I've had no one, I guess, to show my work to. I have serious commitment issues when it comes to things like this. Whether it be because I don't see progress, or that I get inside my own head and tell myself that no one cares anyways because no one is obligated to. The commitment issue and my time management problems merge to where I either don't get work done and just play video games, or I do get work done and it's not the best quality that I know I have the potential to make. In the next year or two, I'll have to start working, which will be even more time lost. Currently, my stepdad expects me to do basketball since I'm tall, but I don't care for the sport. And I worry that if I do start basketball, I'll use it as even more of an excuse to not do anything productive. I guess, bottom line, I'm lost and just want to be able to commit to something or someone and be able to create something that makes others smile. Worry face. Thank you so much, Kaneki. That's a fantastic read.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very well written. This is a great topic. I think this is something we can all kind of relate to. I think we've all gone through periods of life where we want to be productive, but then there's that inner battle that just like either takes us away, it distracts us, it makes us feel like our work is useless anyways, or we just don't have that inner like I want to do work, but at the same time, I don't feel like doing it, or like I want to have gotten something done with my life so that I can be proud of myself, but
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, I'm not willing to actually do anything to commit to that. I've totally been there a lot of times. Um, it's so much easier to kind of just get carried away in a video game or watching an anime or whatever it is. Um, and a lot of times, easiness isn't well, almost never, easiness never buys us um, being proud of ourselves or
Mm-hmm.
being satisfied with ourselves or being
Mm-hmm.
satisfied with the world around us. Um, it's funny because you think you take of the world and enjoy it, and that would satisfy you with the world. But a lot of times, what satisfies you with the world is you adding to it, because that's how you truly experience the world, as is being a gift to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a beautiful thing. And that's a revolutionary thing, because I think if you understand that, it changes your whole mind frame about life. And I think very few people ever realize that if you want satisfaction out of the world, you reap more satisfaction by being a gift to it, because that's when you're truly in it.
Mm-hmm.
When you just take from the world, you're not really a part of it. You're not adding anything, but you want that satisfaction. It's a really difficult battle because our desires, our immediate desires, weigh against our long-term desires, and they fight each other. But anyways, that said, I'm going to give it over to Joe, who, like I said before, is a lot better with time management than I am, and I feel commitment as well. So I'm looking forward to see what he's got to say. Um, he's been really productive lately, and it's really great to see that too. He's been cruising. So
Well,
um,
I didn't feel like I was cruising this past week because all kinds of things came out of left field.
whatever, Joe.
It happens.
Whatever, Joe. You still scored an 11T.
No,
No,
I didn't score the 11
yeah, that was
T.
Joe. That was the other Joe.
That was
What did you score? What did you score yourself?
one.
One. Yeah, you still scored a one. You are number one.
Number one.
You are number one, dude. This week. Sorry, at our meetings we score ourselves based on our performances throughout the week, and Joe
Yeah.
gave himself a one because he's number one. Well, we added the second part of that, but anyways,
Yeah.
go ahead, Joe. Take it away.
I appreciate that. Even you know what? It's funny because even with all the craziness, I still managed to do my morning routine, get all my work for my job done, which was, I got to make sure that comes into play. And then all the Black Static and Swerve stuff, I still managed to get by a little bit on that, but I had to, it's crazy because I've got one of my sons is in middle school. My other son is in elementary school. Elementary schools were still in session at the school. My wife also works at the elementary school. And my oldest son went remote because they had a COVID case. And so so I had to be there while he did remote learning because there was no one else. So I couldn't go out and do inspections, some of the time. And it got to be pretty crazy. So a whole lot of things had to get redirected, as it were. But that, normally speaking, some of this is just going to be a trial and error, like figuring out time management, figuring out how to commit to things. When, as far as commitment goes, I think when you just decide, okay, I'm going to do this, I want to do this. And then the question becomes, okay, how do I fit this into my life? And it looks like from your post here, you've got different things that are going to get in your way. You've got work that's going to potentially take some time away from your day. You've got basketball, that whether you play it or not, if you decide to play basketball, then that's going to also require time and energy. You'll probably be tired when you get done with that in each day. So, now neither of those things are bad. Working is a good thing. Basketball is a good thing. You're gonna learn stuff in both of those endeavors that you won't learn anywhere else. And it's not necessarily, I mean, I when I was in high school, I did swimming, right? And it's not because I enjoy being out of breath and feeling like I'm about to drown in a 500-yard race, and but there were things. There was and also we had to be there at 6 o'clock in the morning for practice before school, and then do practice after school as well. So it was really intense. But there's kind of this, when you're gonna work hard, there's kind of this self-respect that starts to build in you. And it's pretty cool. Now, you will gain that through working and through basketball and, whatever you decide to do. If you decide to do neither of those and focus on art or writing stories or making art, if you decide to focus there and commit there, you're going to learn things in that realm. And if you stay committed to doing it on a daily basis, you're also going to develop that same level of self-respect. But the key I've found for myself is I have to find a way to be consistent in whatever it is that I've decided to do. A lot of times people will ask me, how'd you get to be a good drummer? Because that's, I'm a drummer. I play drums, and it's awesome. I love it. And they're like, how did you get to be a good drummer? And I'm like, well, I just played drums every day for years and years, because I enjoyed doing it. And so that's one of the key things. If you find something that you enjoy doing, it's usually easier to be consistent with because you love doing it. And so it's easier to just kind of naturally go into this realm of, I'm going to keep doing this every day just because I love doing it. And if that's writing for you, then that's awesome. If it's making art for you, then that's awesome too. Whatever it is for you, if you love it enough to want to do it all the time, that's great. For me, I used to think that I was a night person and I did my best work at night. I've recently discovered that when it gets to be nighttime for me, I usually just get tired because I've already done so much throughout the day. I've had to work my job. I've had to, a lot of times maybe there's a martial arts class in there with my kids, and I've spent the afternoon helping my kids with their homework and, playing and doing different things like that, helping get dinner around. There's all kinds of different things in there. And by the time it gets to the end of the day, I'm really tired. And I'm not very productive. And usually if I stay up late, it's doing things that are entertaining, like watching movies or playing video games or doing whatever. And I'm not really getting things done so much. So I had to actually flip a switch for myself and say, okay, I'm not getting things done on the back end of the day, on the later end of the day. So why don't I, when I get to that point where I'm tired and I'm done with all the working stuff that I need to do, why not just go to bed? Because I'm not productive after that point anyway. And then I will get up earlier. So now people think I'm crazy. I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning so I can do my morning routine of prayer, meditation, and writing. I do object writing and journaling, and there's different parts of my morning that I start my day with, and then I get to work on producing. We're on the very ends of producing an album that's going to release. Probably sounds like December 31st. We'll be releasing this album. We want to release it by the end of the year, and so I've been getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning so I can do all my morning routine stuff. And then I can work on music for a while before I have to go to work or do whatever it is that I need to do. So what happens, there's some interesting things that happen psychologically with that. One, I find I do better work because my mind is fresher and I've just slept and I've done my morning routine and I feel good and I'm ready to go. Boom. And it's awesome. And then I work, I'm a lot more productive and I get better work done. The other thing that I've noticed is in my mind, I have now prioritized music production first. That is my first priority because it's what I do first in the day. So because I do that before my job, in my mind is saying, oh, this is my first priority. This is important. And it is. Because what I want to do is I want to take music production and have that take over my job. So this is what I do. And subconsciously, now it lines up. It's like, this is my first priority. This is what I do first in the day. And so now it's like number one. And my job is second. It's like my job is my side business. And my primary business is music production. If that makes sense. So when I did that switch, I started to notice these things, and then it became like that. Now it's awesome. I used to hate getting up early in the morning. Now I look forward to it because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to actually get some really awesome stuff done during the day. I'm going to get a workout in, which is part of the morning routine is to exercise. And I'm going to get all this stuff done, and then I'm going to get to work on music for a while, and then I'm going to go do my job, and that's going to be fine. And then I'm going to get to hang out with my family and do that stuff, and then I'm going to go to bed early. So I generally go to bed around 9 and get up at about 3. So Random says, do you get enough sleep? I get about 6 hours of sleep usually, which is more than I've gotten in the past. So a lot of times you can gauge things for yourself. I'm not recommending that you adjust your sleep schedule. I'm just saying, if you're going to find something that's important to you, make sure that you put it in your schedule. For me, I had to look at my schedule and decide this has to go in at the beginning of my day. That's the only time it can, because it's quiet. I'm doing all my work on headphones now, so I'm not playing drums at 3 o'clock in the morning because that would disturb some folks. But it doesn't have to be first thing in the morning. It can be at night. If you feel like you do better at night, put it in at night. But block some time out in your day to do that, even if it's just 30 minutes. Because a consistent 30 minutes every day is way more powerful than, like 3 hours once a week or once a month, or whenever you get around to it. But if you actually put it in your schedule and you're like, okay, so from 6:30 to 7 o'clock, I am working on this because this is what I really have a passion for. And that's just 30 minutes. Just 30 minutes. We usually can fit 30 minutes in. And if you find yourself really, really crunched for time, set a timer and be like, this is all the time I have. I have found that to be very powerful. I have an object writing exercise that I do every morning. It's basically a writing exercise for improving my speed in writing lyrics and improving my quality in writing lyrics. And so it's basically a deep dive into sense writing, where you're writing in terms of the senses, how taste, smell, touch, feel, emotion, all the things that we sense, and so everything, I basically start with a word like bucket, and then I just start writing things that come to mind, and I try and gear those toward the senses and stay in that realm. And I set a timer for 10 minutes. because it's like, okay, if I'm not having a good time, if I'm really struggling this morning, it's only 10 minutes long. It's no big deal. But if I really start to dig deep and do good, then that alarm goes off after 10 minutes and I'm like, oh, I could have gone farther, but I force myself to stop, because then next time, and I've noticed this happens, when you're limited by time and you know it, you start to dig in deeper faster, and you get more quality faster when you know you're timed. So those are some little tricks that I've learned. Took me, I'm 42 years old. It took me a long time to learn some of these things, but hopefully some of that can be helpful. So I've talked for a while. I'm going to turn it back over to Ryan and see what he has to say. So Ryan, it's
All
all
right.
yours, buddy.
Yeah, I'm glad you went first and got to say everything you said, because like I said, I think that you're a lot better in this field than I am. So it was really great to hear what you had to say about it. So one thing that I can say about this issue is this: if you find yourself getting distracted by video games or movies or things like that, right? One thing that I would highly recommend is this: look at what is distracting you. Um, just take a moment and think about those things. Think about those things that your brain goes, hey, I want to be doing this. Hey, I'm bored right now, so what can I do to entertain myself to get out of this feeling of boredom? What things do you go to, right? Um, for me, one thing that was really powerful was going to my computer and being like, okay, uninstall. All right, and this one too, uninstall. And then what happens is now my brain goes, oh, I'm bored. What can I do? And it goes, oh, I uninstalled that. Oh, I uninstalled that. That's right. Oh, there's this music project I was working on. Click, So instead of giving your brain the ease of access to things that are distracting, take those things which are distracting and put them away. Make them harder to achieve so that it's easier to achieve the things you actually want to get done in your day. So again, if it's watching movies or something like that, try to find a way to manipulate physically or on your computer or something so that it's harder to reach those things. Then when you have actually achieved something in the day, like you feel like, okay, I've actually worked for 3 hours on this or 5 hours on this or whatever, then your brain is willing to take the extra amount of discomfort it takes to actually start up whatever that form of entertainment was. Because then your brain is like already proud of itself and achieved something. It's willing to take an extra step to get a little bit more entertainment out of something, right? But my point is, and I'm kind of saying that really weirdly. I don't know a better way to say it, but I think you get what I'm saying. Is if you can take those things which you find distracting, put them away on a shelf, make them hard to get at, your brain will go to what's easier faster. And it's easier to grab your notebook because it's sitting right next to you so you can start writing or drawing, right? You put your utensils for drawing or painting or whatever right where they're in ease of access. Because I think a lot of times we find ourselves just, being bored. But when you take away those things that were entertaining you, after a couple of days, you find that you don't need those things. And you find that those things were the things that were making you bored. And it's really weird, right? You think that the things that entertain you, that stop you from feeling bored, would make you not feel bored. But the thing is, the more you indulge in those things which stop your boredom, the faster and easier you get bored quickly. So you start writing, and then all of a sudden you find yourself bored. It's because you've programmed your brain to be entertained all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If you stop the entertainment If you don't have to stop it all the way, we need balance, right? But if you kind of put it at a distance, suddenly your brain gets better and better at not feeling bored until it comes to a point where you don't even recognize what boredom is. You're like, people will be like, "Oh, I'm so bored," and you're like, "You're, you're what?" I don't even, I can't even remember the last time I felt that feeling, you know, um, which is great. But in order to get there, right, it takes a lot of self control. And the best way to do that is just to put something out of arm's reach, because then it forces you to have that self control. You force yourself first, and then, it's kind of like, um, sometimes you have, like, I don't know, a problem or something like an addiction or whatever. Sometimes the best method is to make it hard to get, make it, kind of like, instead of putting it next to you and being like, I'm going to test my own self control and I'm going to put this thing right next to me and then just see how long I can last. That doesn't work long term, because eventually you'll give in, right? And all you're doing is timing yourself on how long it took you to give in. But you're still training your brain to give in. But if you take that item and you just completely remove it from your view, then it's a lot easier, for your brain to stop thinking about it, which makes it a lot easier for your brain to be reprogrammed away from it. Um, so basically, my point is, if you can take those things which are distracting you and find ways to hide them from yourselves, find ways to make them hard to reach, I think that will do you huge, benefits as far as being more productive and getting more things done. Because suddenly, what you'll find is that your source of entertainment is your production. You find that when you are writing, you are entertained by your writing. When you are drawing, that is your form of entertainment, and you are just as satisfied doing that as you would be watching an anime. You're just as satisfied. Now, it takes a lot more mental work, and at some point you're going to get tired and you are going to have to kind of relax, right? But you find yourself completely a lot more fulfilled and entertained when you're being productive with your form of entertainment. Um, so that's kind of really all I have. I think the meat of the subject, Joe mostly covered. But I hope that my point made sense. Joe, did you have anything else you wanted to follow that up with?
Well, I love what you were saying about that, and entertaining. It's interesting how entertainment works in our minds. Like, um, if we should indulge in some entertainment, like Ryan was talking about, to have some kind of a balance, right? But here's the thing, like, one of the things about entertainment is, if we know that we're supposed to be doing something and then we entertain ourselves, afterwards we feel guilty. So I would encourage you to have guilt-free entertainment, which would mean do the stuff you feel like you need to do, which, like the productive things you need to do to move forward, and the things you want to do, like stories or art or whatever it is that you decide. Take the time to do that first. And when you do that and you take care of your responsibilities, then when you indulge in entertainment, whether it's video games or TV or movies or whatever form of entertainment it is, now you don't have the guilty feeling that it's like, I didn't do what I was supposed to do, I just entertained myself. No.
And your entertainment feels a lot more, enriching, and it's like more meaningful when you've already gotten your work out of the way. Like when you've done and you're satisfied with yourself at the end of the day, and then you go to your entertainment, the entertainment feels like you can really put yourself into it a lot better, and actually reap more out of it emotionally and all that. Anyway, sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to
No,
add that
no,
input because it's
that
so.
was basically it, and yeah, I think I said quite a bit there, in my part, and that was pretty much all I had to say. So I'm gonna actually say for Kishan Slayer here, Kishan, if you wanna start a new topic, you can click
Yep,
that link and then post a new topic there on the website.
absolutely.
That would be awesome.
Thank you.
So yes. But
Yeah. So thank you so much, Kaneki, aka Caleb. That was a great topic. I hope we did it justice. I hope some of that, some of the tips help. Um, you know, all we can do is provide information, based on what we've experienced in our life and what was helpful to us. And I hope some of it can be helpful to you. But if it doesn't work, or if you find something better, or something that we didn't say that you find really helpful, feel free to share it in the chat next time you stop by, or whatever. Because I think that's something we can all, get better at. But anyways, I'm gonna go on to the next one. Is that cool?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. The next one, Khan, you still here? I hope so, Khan. Oops, I just clicked the link on accident.
Clicking the link.
Yeah. Other than Khan, I'm just gonna once again roll down the list, and if you're here, please let us know. We've got Royal, Sevlev, SK, Pika, Jesse, Khan, Sparrow, Amira, Claire, and Baka Breaker.
Claire, I see you here.
Yep. Yeah, well, he was here, he was here when we first started, so hopefully he'll come back. But yeah, if Claire, if you know them, could you send them a message and say, hey, yo, and then
yo. Make sure you do it like
Don't
that.
Worry Wednesday at the end of that.
Yeah,
yo, and then Don't Worry Wednesday. We'll see. We'll see if that helps. All right. I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and move on to the next one, which would be yours, Claire. Would that be all right? Hopefully that is fine. Do you want to get that link? Or you want me to do it?
I got it.
Okay.
Look at me go with the link. Look at that.
You've got the power, man.
I don't even have to race this time.
Yeah, I know. Doesn't that?
It's so
Does it
crazy.
feel satisfying?
But I miss Princess.
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly. It's like it's not even a competition, so it's like.
Right. Well, we've been so spoiled because she's been here like every week for a long time. This is the first time we haven't had Princess with us in forever, and so now here we are, and it's like we got to do all the stuff she does, and we don't even do all the stuff that she does. We're just kind of basically, okay, trying to muddle through as best we can. She handles it like a champ. Man, it's awesome.
Oh, okay. So Claire, this one is one that I was slightly excited for. Wow, English. It is my second language, so forgive me. My first language is gibberish, and actually crying and stuff.
Gibberish and crying.
Yeah, and mostly that's how I spoke as a little, youngling. I would just mostly cry and say weird sounds.
Cry and jibber jabber.
Jibber jabber. All right, Claire. Ready or not, here we come. This is from you. It's titled "Thoughts on Transgender People," and so this is a hot topic in our current time. So we don't even have to ask chat to be civil, because this is the best chat in the entire world. BSS, most amazing people ever. Anyways, the topic reads as this. This is kind of hard to ask, but what do you think about being transgender? I really like your opinion. So what you think is kind of important to me. Wow, that was it. Thank you. I'm honored that you would think so highly of us to consider our opinions on the subject. But I hope that you can that our topic, or how we address the topic, can be appeasing and pleasing to you. I'm sure we're probably on the same page already, but I guess we'll find out. Hey,
what, you and me on the same page?
No. Us and Claire.
Oh, us and Claire. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if I'm on the same page as you, Ryan. I think we're pretty close.
Yeah, we're on the same page pretty much all the time.
Maybe.
You know, wisdom is wisdom. I think that's one of those things. I mean, opinions are another thing, but wisdom is wisdom. So a lot of times where, truth is truth.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, Claire, this is a fantastic topic, and I'm excited to hear what Joe has to say. So I'm going to give it over to him, and listen.
Well, thank you, Ryan, and thank you, Claire, for this topic. And I know that when you posted this last week, and we didn't have the time to address it, but I did want to just touch on it last week, and I basically said I'm going to sum it up in one word, and that is love, because truly, I mean, this is such it's such a hot and divisive issue right now. I mean, a lot of people get really emotional about it, and I understand. There's emotional arguments on both sides, whether they think it's a good thing or a bad thing or whatever. I mean, good or bad is just that. Good is a label, bad is a label. It's a thing that exists in our world, right? And so, first of all, with someone who's transgender, my first response is love. It's just like they're a person. Before anything else, before any type of, feeling they might have, or before any type of, whatever their body's built like, versus how they feel inside, all that aside, they're a human being. They have goals, they have dreams, they have hopes and desires, they have feelings, they have loves and hurts and all kinds of things. I mean, we're all a composite of these. And because you're a human, if you're transgender, transgender doesn't matter to me. I love you because you're a person. And Claire, I'm sorry for putting you under the spotlight. I know this is a hard topic to talk about. Absolutely, but that's totally fine. That's totally fine because, there needs to be things said about it too. The other thing, okay, so first of all, a transgender person is a human being and worthy of infinite love just because they exist. And so all the other things set aside, they're human. Now, I know I've beat that point into the ground a ton, but that's my starting point. And I think that should be all of our starting point. Because really, we're not going to move forward at all without first loving. Next, when I come across someone who's transgender, I see, since I've not experienced that, first of all, part of me is curious as to, how did they come to that feeling, because I didn't experience that. Right. And so sometimes I want to ask questions, but I don't want to be offensive. So I got to be careful what questions I ask, because I don't want to ask something that's going to be, taken wrong or whatever. But I just genuinely want to know what that feels like. And really, I can't help but feel compassion and pity, not in a bad kind of way, pity, but I just feel bad because it must be so hard to be built, to have my body be built a certain way, but yet to inside feel like I'm the opposite, or I should have been the opposite, or whatever, I'm my chromosomes and the way my body's built. So every cell in my body has my unique set of chromosomes in there. And in there is an X chromosome and a Y chromosome. And that determines that biologically I am a male. Right? And that's stamped into every cell in my body. And now for my wife, she's female. So she, in her every cell of in her body, she has an X and another X. So that's the chromosomal makeup for male or female. Now, when someone's feelings or their mentality or whatever goes against that biological makeup, I can't help but feel deeply compassionate for them, because I'm like, that must really, really hurt to have that level of conflict. And part of me wonders why that conflict is there, and it's there for a tremendous amount of people. Tremendous. I remember recently, actually, it was in the last quarantine we had. I had to buy a phone case, and I needed it right away. So I went to Best Buy, and they had to bring it out to my car and stuff. You had to go order it and then have them bring it out to you. And the person who brought it out to me was it was fairly apparent that they were transitioning from male to female. And I didn't have a lot of time to experience with them, but I looked and I couldn't help but feel just a little bit bad, just because I was like, man, that must be so hard to feel like I should be different than I am at that level. I mean, and we're talking the cellular level. Like, my feelings and my mentality are, feel like they should be different than something that's so baked in to my genetics. That conflict is deep. So I pray for them. I pray that pain be eased. I don't pray that they get their head screwed on right. And I don't, like that never crosses my mind. But I love them. Now, in this movement, it's very unfortunate, but in this movement, there are people who use the movement to push certain things that, to me, kind of cross the line. Like, they talk about, well, for one instance, sometimes people want to blur the lines between bathrooms and locker rooms, and so they will say they're transgender so they can use the opposite gender's bathroom or locker room, because they just want to go in there and see these people, without their clothes on, or in that type of, scenario. And so there are people that do that. And to me, that kind of frustrates me a little bit. Also, when there are transgender, they biologically they're male, but they identify as female, and then they're athletes. And so they're competing as a female, but they're built like a male. And athletically, in a lot of different sports, you'll see, and a lot of times the male side of things tends to be a little bit faster, a little bit, a little bit more. So it gives them a competitive edge. And so it kind of, to me, that doesn't seem very fair. And there are people that use this movement to their advantage. Yes, those people are disgusting. Thank you, Claire. To me, to take something that's a genuine conflict in someone's mind and to use it as a way for me to take advantage of another person, like that ticks me off a little bit. But the point is, okay, we're all people. We all have stuff that we deal with. And this challenge, this cross to bear for a lot of people, is a tough one. And so my primary response to transgender is compassion and love and an attempt to understand. But I'm always nervous because I don't want to ask the wrong thing. I don't want to say the wrong thing that would be offensive. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. But so that kind of sums up my view on this whole thing. So I'm going to turn it over to Ryan and see what he has to say. So, Ryan?
Yeah. Thanks, Joe. That was great. And of course, yeah, I have to absolutely agree. It's like, first of all, what's the priority here? What's the most important thing? The most important thing is that they're a human, that we love them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to specify what is love. To love is to desire the best for somebody. There are people who are very who are very rude and unkind towards people who are transgendered.
Mm-hmm.
And it's out of a sense of pride or misunderstanding of dignity, or things like that, that they do these things. Then there are also people who are against the movement, who are actually worried about the people. They actually have love at the forefront, but they're still anti transgender, right? And it's because they believe that they know, right? They believe that the correct path is not the one that these people are taking, right? So the thing is that we have to remember is that in all these people, whether you're on one side or the other, whether even if you're transgender and you are against the transgender movement, there are people who are that way, believe it or not.
Mm.
No matter what side or whatever your position is, I think it's super important to know that. Um, by the way, thank you, Sally. um, it's important to treat each other with an amount of forgiveness,
Mm.
because we don't know everything. And we have to understand that a lot of times we're talking out of our butts because we were taught something when we were little and we just stuck by it for no reason whatsoever. Or we were told by someone we respected, and we just took it for granted and never questioned why. I know that there were things that I believed about my own faith that were actually inaccurate. And it was my faith that I was told to believe these things by people who were not of my faith. And I just said, "Oh yeah, that's us. That's how my faith is." And then later on they're like, I'm like learning stuff and I'm like, wait, who the heck told me that? Was that my teacher? What were they talking about? You know, like what? So we have to have this level of there's a word starts with P, and I can't think of it right now.
There's a word that ends with P. Static P.
And it's static P. Yeah, static. Um, um, but we have to have a certain amount of forgiveness. We have to understand that we don't understand all the time. And I can totally relate to, here's the thing. All humans are in conflict. That's part of the nature of being human, is that we are uh okay, Claire, it's a word that means to kind of like forgive people on the spot, to allow them room to be wrong and not be mad at them, but I can't think of the word. Anyways, but you get the idea.
Man, now it's gonna bug me.
Yeah, I know, it really bugs me right now. It's just like, oh, what is that P word? Or I think it's a P. I could be wrong. It could be a completely different letter. Maybe that's why I am held up. Okay. Anyways,
The P is silent.
Yeah, the P, it's like pterodactyl. Oh, that was it. Pterodactyl. No. Okay. So we all are in conflict with ourselves. All of us, all the time. Part of human nature is to desire that which is good. And perfection is good. The problem is we were not built perfectly. We were built good. That is at the base of all humanity, right? We might not all do good things, and we can all certainly do a lot of evil, right? But we have gifts. We have the ability to do great things. We in our nature are good. But we are not perfect. No one is. We strive for perfection. And so we have this constant internal battle for what we want to be and what we actually are. And that applies to transgender people just as much as it applies to people who I guess the standard, I don't know, you call someone, I can't think of it right now, but just normal, not transgender, right? And the reason I say normal is because more of the population is that way. I don't mean like it's bad to be unnormal. It's great to be unnormal, right? Mm-hmm. In a lot of ways, being normal just gets you, doesn't get you anything exciting. But anyways, Cis, thank you. That's what it is. Thanks, Claire. Cisgendered. There you. So we're all in conflict. It's nothing new to be in conflict with yourself. Mm. And for those people, we should have compassion, right? We should be, I'm sorry that you're currently in conflict, because I am too, and we all are. And yeah, sure, so, lots of different ways. We all don't like something about our bodies, pretty much. And if you go to anybody in the world, say, what's one thing you don't like about your body? They'll tell you. Everybody has something, right? Everyone has something they don't like about their activity. You know, throughout the day, they're like, yeah, I could have done this better throughout the day. Mm-hmm. Or I just wasted that day. That the whole day was wrong. You know, everybody has internal conflicts with themselves, and conflicts with each other, conflicts with the world around them, conflicts with their perceptions. You know, I believe that opinion can be wrong or right. And what I mean by that is, sure, an opinion isn't fact, so it's not true or false, but it can be wrong in the sense that your opinion of something might be leading you down something that gives you a bad consequence or bad outcome. So you might say, you know what? My opinion is that we should only eat chocolate. It's like, great, that's an opinion. And it isn't incorrect. It's not false, but you're gonna find yourself, you know, down that road, and not enjoying it. You know, another example is, you know, people who are negative all the time. Everything is negative. You know, that's opinion. That's a perception, but it doesn't lead them to a happy life. It leads them to a very negative and sour and salty and life that they don't enjoy. They don't even like their life because they can't like anything in it. And I think that's part of the human condition, right? And so there are things we don't like about ourselves. And sometimes we just have to go, okay, that is what it is. I'm going to move on. And sometimes we have to go, all right, I have to change something, right? And as I said before, you either change what you hate or you change what you hate, you know? So you either go out there and you make a difference, or you go in your head and you go, why am I hating this so much? Stop it. Because it's only making me ill, right? It's doing me no good. It's only doing me harm. So when it comes to being transgender, I don't think that it's right for us to decide for them. It's only right for them to decide for them. Because in the end, we don't know. All we can do is take an action and hope for the best, right? To desire love, to desire the best for someone out of love is wonderful. But a lot of times we don't know what best is. Sometimes we do. And sometimes our words can help a lot, but not always. Sometimes you can love someone and say, hey, look, this is the wrong path for you. And you could be right. But the thing is, they have to go down that road and explore it anyways. Because otherwise, they will never learn what they needed to learn. We're all given unique struggles in our life. We're all given different paths and different gifts to get through them. They are beautiful. Those are curses, but they're blessings, right? Every curse is a blessing. Everything that happens that's bad can be turned into something good if we have the intention to do so, if we allow it to be that way. Sometimes you can tell your friend, like, hey, that's not for you. It's not the right choice. But they're going to do it. And through doing it, they grow so much more than they would have if they had listened to you. And we have to understand that. We have to understand that we have to let go sometimes and be willing to allow people to make mistakes. And sometimes it's not a mistake, and we were the ones that were mistaken. So on a topic as harsh and unique as transgender, I don't think that that we can give an definitive, yes, it's wrong, or yes, it's very right. It's more so each person is their own, and each person has their own path to experience. And all we can do is wait and see how it pans out, um, and love them along the way from the bottom of our hearts. But anyways, um, Caleb, I see that you're going to bed. Okay, have a good one. Um, but yeah, that's about all I had to say on that. I hope that makes sense, um, and doesn't rub you the wrong way, because it's a very touchy topic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the whole point is love. I mean, how, how else do you treat this person? How else do you find the real answer to all of this but through love, desiring the best, and working through it with people to find that answer?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of things we don't know, we have to experience them before we can ever learn. Um, there are things which are, immediate moral conflicts, and there are things that we assume are, which aren't, and there are things that aren't simply,
Mm-hmm.
and we know they're not, and so we try them out, right? I mean, you might decide, hey, do I want to eat spaghetti or do I want to eat a taco? And it's like, well, what's the difference, right? But um, you find out, like, through eating them, that you're like, oh, I like spaghetti a lot more, you know? Um, and it's sometimes that's kind of what life throws at you. Both options are good, um, but you have to take one to find out. Or an option could be bad, but you have to take it to find out, because you don't know. You don't know if that spaghetti had a bad noodle in it, and poisoned you, you know? Um, so ultimately, it's kind of like love is all you can do. Desire the best, because that's all that matters in the end, anyways, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the end, what happens? You can change your gender. You can not change your gender. You can struggle through it all, or you can give into it and struggle in it. Because a lot of times people go through the procedure and they find themselves on the other side going, wait, I still hate myself. Why? I thought I wouldn't hate myself now that I've changed my gender. What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there are people who do the gender swap and they're like, you know what? I'm glad I did. So here's the thing. It's in the end, what happens? We struggle no matter what. We struggle, right? And then we die. But
Well,
struggle
that's
is
very
beautiful.
positive.
But listen, struggle is absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Struggle, you know, sacrifice, pain. I mean, how else can you show love for another but being able and willing to struggle to show it, to experience pain for them, to make a sacrifice, right? That's how we worship. That's how we show our love, is through pain and sacrifice. The fact that we remain in the human condition, even with our struggles, is a testament to our love of the universe, because it's like, hey, you know what? Yeah, it's hard, but I love it enough to stay. And I think that that's beautiful, right? So, regardless of whatever situation you're going through mentally, about what you disagree with yourself, what you'd like to change, the thing is, the struggle is a beautiful thing. Go into it, feel it, experience it, and enjoy it, because if you don't enjoy your struggle, if you never get there, you'll never reap anything out of it. But if you can learn to take that struggle and make it work for you, to make you yourself feel that compassion, make yourself feel that love from that struggle. Understand that other people had to struggle before to get us here. Our parents had to struggle to feed us. Our parents had to struggle to give us birth,
Mm-hmm.
right? All of that's a struggle. Struggle is beautiful. And it's okay. It's okay to not like yourself for a little while. In the end, you got to make a choice, though. Through that struggle, you got to find the positive and find one way out, because not liking yourself shouldn't be the end. The end should be you liking yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a matter of struggling to find why you like yourself. A lot of people in the trans community are all about being accepted and approved.
Mm-hmm.
We all want acceptance, right? We want acceptance from the people around us. And one of the hardest things is we want to accept ourselves. The problem is, no human on earth ever accepts themselves fully. And that's the lie that a lot of people buy into. A lot of times when we think about the transgender people, they want to change themselves so that they can accept themselves. But the truth is, cis people don't accept themselves either. They've just come to terms with their own flaws, or they haven't. And they're struggling on the inside just as much as the transgender people. Coming to love yourself is the most important part of this whole thing. Mm-hmm. It's not about what gender you are. It's not about how you might disagree with how your body looks or how it feels or what organs you have or shouldn't have. It's about coming to love yourself, right? We want to accept ourselves. The problem is, again, we can't accept ourselves because we're not perfect, like I said before. We want perfection, but we don't have it. We can't achieve it. Mm-hmm. But we can achieve what is good, and we can achieve what is love. So if we love ourselves, we can get through it one way or another. And that's the whole point, right? Anyways, with that, I'm going to move it back over to Joe and see if he's got anything else to add to that.
Well, I think a lot of this has been plumbed pretty well. At least the question about what we think about the whole thing. I did want to relate kind of my experience because sometimes, not, I know this isn't always the case, but there's a lot of times the stereotypes drive this a little bit. You know, there are people that are trans. I remember hearing a thing. I can't remember if I remember if I saw a video or heard an audio where this situation was being related, and it seems like, you know, when someone, I don't know if maybe it tends to be with guys more than girls, or maybe it's the same amount, but a lot of times when you see someone that's trans, they kind of go like, if I'm a guy and I decided to dress like a woman, a lot of times what happens is they kind of go really far into the stereotypical woman, right? So they'll go into maybe the hoochie type of outfits and stuff like that, if that makes sense. So, but one of the things that I've noticed is like, okay, so a lot of times it's kind of a desire to be that other gender, and or maybe it's they feel like stereotypically they belong, like they think like that, and so for part of me it's kind of interesting because I just look at my own life and I look at my wife's life, and it's so interesting because if you look at me stereotypically, what I like to do, the things I like to do, and the things I don't necessarily like, I'm probably a little bit more feminine. Because
same could be said about me. I mean, I played with dolls when I was a
kid. Yeah. I mean, but that it doesn't change my biological sex, right? But for instance, you know, we won't be getting together with family this Thanksgiving tomorrow, but a lot of times this is what happens at Thanksgiving. Like, we get together, we eat, then there's a football game, right? Well, my wife goes in and watches the football game with her dad, and I go help with the dishes, my mother-in-law, right? It's weird, but that's kind of the general routine. Like, my wife is into all these things that are stereotypically guy things, right? Like watching the game, hanging out, you know, doing the bodily functions and stuff like that. I'm a little bit more on the discreet side of things, and, you know, and then also, you know, I prefer to help in the kitchen. I'm not that great of a cook, but I'm really good at the dishes.
I thought you were gonna say I'm really good at eating it.
I am that too. I'm really good at eating it, and I'm really good at the dishes. So like, another thing my wife does, she bakes. Right? She's a baker. She's a tremendous baker. Anytime I help with the preparation of any of it, it gets ruined. But I can keep the dishes clean. And when you're baking, there's a lot of dirty dishes. Lots and lots of them. But at any rate, that's just kind of a little story that's basically saying, okay, if I look through my life and I look back, I never really fit in with a lot of the guys. the guys would always be wanting to watch the hockey game, and I'd be like, why are we watching the hockey game? I want to, have band practice.
Yeah.
Like we got a show coming up. Like, why you guys want to watch the game? The game is stupid. Like,
Yeah, that's okay. I'm not a fan of sports really, but
right?
that's all right. Other people can be.
Yeah. Now here's the crazy thing. I'm a pretty athletic person. I'm testing for my black belt in a couple weeks in Taekwondo. I was a swimmer. I also played football for a couple years. I played soccer for a few years. There are things that I do that are athletic, but I just don't really like watching sports. That's okay. I'll help out in the kitchen. I'll let my wife go in and watch the sports, like but there are some interesting stereotypical things that I think some people and I don't think this is necessarily the fault of a person who ends up being transgender, but sometimes the environment that we're in, I know there are a lot of guys who are like, well, if you don't like sports, you're not a manly person, you're not a guy, you're a little girly man, all these kinds of things, and it's like, and I can imagine like being in that environment for a long time might push someone in the direction to think, well, I guess I should have been a girl, and then also on the other side, you see, it's like, well, you should be all ladylike, and you should be this and this, and you should be proper, and you should stick your pinky out when you hold your teacup, and you do all these different things, right? Proper, proper, proper. And if you're not, you're such a mannish woman, and so like sometimes that culture that has come into play for a lot of people, and people who strictly adhere to this cultural norm issue, I think that can probably push people in the direction of transgender. And I like to say, you know what? We don't have to be bound by that, because we're all made different.
Definitely.
We all have different things we like and dislike. Claire says, also I'd like to ask people if they ever question their gender. I know some transgender people who say, what is cis people?
Those people who are not transgender, basically.
Huh?
You and I.
Oh, okay. Cis people who say cis people don't really question, but I'm not really sure if that is correct.
From personal experience, I can tell you that's incorrect. When I was a very young child, when I was like 8, I questioned myself, because just like Joe was talking about, I was into a lot of things that girls would be into, and I was not having fun with the things a lot of guys would be into. I was feminine in the way I would approach people. I was docile. I was kind of like what people would call a female. And so I, because of, how people, society and so on would treat me, I'd ask myself, I say, wait, why am I so girly? Like, what am I supposed to be, a girl? Am I a girl trapped in a guy's body? Like, and then I came to the conclusion that no, guys can like these things because I'm a guy and I like them. And I've heard of other guys liking these things. So maybe I'm just a guy who likes these things. Maybe people are just people and they can all be interested in different things. I've seen people who are interested in food and people who are not interested in food. I've seen people who are interested in mechanics and people who are like, yeah, mechanics is not my thing. I like doing music. And so I figured maybe everything is just, that's kind of how I solved that problem for myself. Or yeah, how I took myself from the question of am I supposed to be, to going, maybe I just like these things and I'm not that. I'm not transgender. But that wasn't really a common term when I was young. So I was experiencing it outside of the current culture. The current culture now, it is in the current culture now. When I was a kid, to ask such a question would be extreme, like maybe it wasn't rare, but I had never heard of anybody asking that question until I was like, probably like 20, so anyway, sorry to cut you off. Continue, Joe.
No, that's fine. And another case in point would be my brother, my older brother. He's amazing, right? Like, okay, so He's had jobs like, okay, he owns a business now where he delivers fuel, right? He's a fuel delivery person. Before that, he was a miner. Like he worked in a mine, an actual miner.
And was he a lumberjack?
And he was a lumberjack. These are like considered very manly. Like he works in the mines and he's a lumberjack and all these kinds of things, right? Like he's this outdoorsman, macho. Well, not really macho, but like that type of persona goes along with this, right? When he was a kid, one of his favorite things to do would in church was to braid the tails of the My Little Pony dolls.
Nice.
Like we'd sit there and we'd be sitting with, there's girls and guys sitting there right there. And, he'd be braiding the My Little Pony tails, the pink tails and the multicolored tails, the light blue, bright blue, glittery tails, whatever, all of these different things. And it's, I think it's part of drinking deeply of life. To experience these tasks and these hobbies like Marshmallow's talking about, like girl hobbies versus guy hobbies, it's like,
Yeah, just drink what you
just,
like. Find out what you like. Don't stop yourself ever because you're like, I don't want to look girly or I don't want to look manly. Just go ahead and try it out. I think it's important.
Yeah, and it doesn't change really anything about you. So it can remove some of that conflict because you can be like, okay, so I'm a guy, but I like playing with My Little Ponies. Okay.
Yeah.
And then there might be kids at school that make fun of you. Well, you know what? They're shallow. That's too bad.
Yep. Yeah. There you go. Yep, that's true.
But at any rate, so I'm sorry. I hope I didn't go way off into too left field. I want you to know that you're loved.
Absolutely.
And interestingly enough, like one of the things I love what Ryan said during what he was talking, and he was like, a lot of people go through the transition and they actually get the surgery and they turn themselves, they do the hormone therapy, all that kind of stuff, and they turn themselves into the opposite gender. And they get there and they find out that they're not fulfilled. Because gender isn't a fulfilling factor in our lives.
That's well said.
To learn to love yourself and really to learn to love your creator. Those are the things that are truly fulfilling. I mean, to be able to love yourself as you are and say, you know what? Okay, so I'm a guy, but I like doing these things that are girlish things, So I'm not going to fit in all the time, but who cares? You know what? I'm me. And you're you. And that's okay. You don't have to try to be something you're not in order to impress anybody else. You just be you. Because that's genuine. And just understand that we love you. So that's all I got to say. Ryan, what do you got?
Yeah, that's great. I don't mind ending on that point. Yeah, we love you. I mean, and it's hard to love yourself. Everyone struggles with it, whether you're cis or because it's not an issue of gender, whether you like yourself or not. Gender is what gender is. Outside of that, we have our mind that picks us apart and says, oh, you didn't do this, you didn't do that right, or you could be better, you could be different, you could have been that man over there and he's got all those muscles, but you weren't, you were born as you. We all have that. So it's important to take that and use it to your advantage. That's all I can say to that. Mm-hmm. If you got to love yourself. In order to do that, you got to take what you're given and use it to your advantage. You are a gift to this world. It's super important, but you have to be a gift. You can't be there and withhold your talents, withhold yourself because you're afraid of what other people think. Mm-hmm. It's more important to be a gift to the world than it is to look good to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
if you are a gift to the world, you will feel good. And people are attracted to that. People are attracted to people who love themselves. Why? Because everyone wants that too. Everyone wants that. But we don't know how to get it a lot of times. And I'll tell you, it comes from being a gift to the world and allowing yourself to be that gift and not worrying about what other people think, because their thoughts don't change who you are. They just change how you think about yourself, and you're letting them do that. So there's no point in that, right? It's not doing you any good. But anyways, thank you so much, Claire, for the question. I hope that was helpful. I hope that our opinions can help you in your life, or deal with other people who are transgender, if that's what you're experiencing. And yeah, and we're honored that you would ask us. So we love you. Thank you.
Baka has one of the best questions. What's the difference between dolls and action figures?
Oh,
not much.
Not much.
Ryan is a plush doll.
Yeah, I'm a doll.
Here's another interesting question. What's the difference between WWE wrestling and soap operas?
Physical contact. Oh, soap operas have less drama. That's what it is.
Soap operas have less drama. That's great.
What's the difference between WWE and NASCAR?
One involves cars?
No, NASCAR has more drama.
NASCAR has more drama.
Just kidding. All right.
Oh, hey, thanks for the update.
I won't
Claire.
be able to make it. Okay. Yeah, it's all right. Oh, that's okay. Tell Khan that we just hope to get to experience them next time. So we've got 20 minutes left on the clock. You want to see if we can run through another one? We've got Baka Breaker and a couple other people from chat who've let's double check. Yeah, Baka Breaker, are you up for yours?
I think so.
Oh geez, did I click that link wrong? Let me try that again. Did I click the link wrong? That's not a thing you can do, Ryan.
Yeesh.
You can only either click it or I guess not click it.
I miss Free for All Fridays.
Yeah. Aw, sorry. I'm loving our new Free for All Fridays though. I'm sorry. We're just kind of getting together as a company and working together, and I'm getting a lot of benefit out of it. So hopefully someday in the future we can bring back more streams. But right now we're all very busy. But when we can, we look forward to doing so.
We do. It's going to be a good day.
Yeah. All right. Have a good one, Claire. Okay, Baka Breaker, let's do it. This one is titled A Cry for Help. Let me know, Joe, when you are ready.
I'm ready.
All right. Did we post a link in the chat?
Oh, wait. Probably not. Here, let me do that.
Okay. Here's a link Joe has given you.
Bang! Look at that. I was first.
Bang.
Oh, wait. I didn't have to.
Feel free to read along with us. It reads as follows. For the past few weeks, I've had a dread of, I can't find a way of expressing myself right now. The last week, I've been getting major anxiety attacks just out of nowhere is what it feels like. To be completely honest, I am scared. This empty feeling. Feeling empty makes me even more scared. And this spirals until I find no joy in whatever I try and do. This emptiness creates an endless pit in which it feels like there is no escape. Sometimes it just ends up with me crying myself to sleep, night after night. Some days I wish to ask for help like I am now, but my pride, however, rips the words off the page and into the pit. Really, I'm scared and want help, but have no clue what to do.
Mm.
From Baka Breaker. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for honoring us with your struggles and beating through your pride to ask. I know that's really hard. Um, I I totally understand as well. It takes a lot of strength and effort to ask for help, and so I applaud you. You've already taken the first step by doing so into solving your problem. You know, solving problems requires actions a lot of times. Sometimes they're really hard mental actions, but most of the time it's doing something new, it's doing something different, changing something so that you can change inside, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just have to say, for taking the first few steps, I'm really proud of you, Buckbreaker, and hopefully we can do this justice and help you on your way. But with that said, I'm going to give it over to Joe.
Mm. Thanks, Ryan, and thanks, Baka Breaker, aka Box, for your
Yeah.
topic. And I love that your avatar is the box.
Yes, it's
I think
great.
that's awesome. But this is a serious issue. I remember having major anxiety attacks when I was in my late teens, early 20s, going through these phases, excuse me, of depression and just stressed out and just feeling. I think part of it was I was feeling like I was letting everybody that I knew down. That was part of it. And some of the times I had to learn that I was valuable just the way I am. That was one thing. But I had slipped into this, you know, this mentality of I need to, excuse me, sorry. I need to make the people around me happy with me, or something like that. And I had slid into this mentality that was totally defeating, because that is, if we go far enough down that road, we never will be fulfilled. We'll never, be as good as we need to be or want to be. We will always be lacking in some degree. So, but what Ryan said there was absolutely right. Anytime we catch ourselves in some kind of a downward spiral, the key is to do something different. Because by definition, a downward spiral is something's happening or we take some kind of an action, and that points us in the downward direction, which causes us to do something else, which then goes down farther. And then we end up, and it brings us back to the first thing we did, which brings us down farther. And then we repeat this process and continue to repeat this process over and over and over again. And it becomes a habit. And eventually we just find ourselves in this really low position and we spiral down there, sometimes even before we knew what was going on. But we just got caught in this habit and these tasks that we were doing, these things we were doing that were just pointing us downward. So we have to break that somehow. And sometimes it can be hard. I remember making the phone call to have my parents pick me up at college when I was having a nervous breakdown. That was different. Because here's what was happening. At the time, I was sitting in my dorm room thinking, and then not going to class, sleeping in, staying up late, thinking, and my mind was my worst enemy at that point in time because I was thinking negative thoughts. And so I'd sit there by myself and think and think and think and think, and then, and then I wouldn't go to class, and then I would sleep in, and then I would feel defeated because I wasn't going to class and I was getting bad grades and I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. And so that brought me down even farther. And then I'd sit there in the middle of the night and I would think about it. And then I'd be up really late, so then I'd sleep in and I'd miss all my classes again the next day, and I'd just go down and down and down and down and down until finally Finally, I called my parents and said, I don't know how to deal with this. I need to leave. I need to not be here anymore. And they were, they were confused, because I don't think they really realized that it was like that. They thought I was having a good time and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, their kid calls and says, I have to leave. I need you to come pick me up, but that thing that, I called them to have them pick me up. And that was a breaking point. That broke the habit, because I didn't, instead of sitting there thinking negative thoughts about myself, I called my parents and I got out of that situation, right? And then I remember sitting there and dealing, and then I was doing the same thing, but now I was just at my parents' house, right? Instead of being in my dorm room, I was doing the same thing at my parents' house. And then I had to make a phone call to book an appointment with a therapist, right? And I remember doing that. And that was different. And then I had to go to the appointment, and I had, and that was different. So like, I had to do all these different things in order to get myself out of that spiral. And it took some time, but I did get out of it. So I think what Ryan was saying, what he touched on right there really quick, was to do something different. To do something different that breaks that habit of the downward spiral is so important. And my default now, those of you who have heard me say anything, my default now is exercise. To do some type of physical activity, because that breaks the habit and it gets good feeling endorphins going in your body, right? You start to feel like you're accomplishing something. You start to feel better about yourself. It releases adrenaline. It releases all these things that make you feel good. And it breaks that habit, because most of the time, I know me, that when my mind goes in places it shouldn't be, negative places, sinful places, all these different places that I know is not the right place for my mind to go. For me, the breaker is to exercise. I know that, because then my mind is occupied with trying to exercise. It breaks the habit of thought, and I start doing something that is different, and it's also productive, and it also, I think part of it is it makes me tired. So then, but tired in a good kind of way, not tired in a sad, depressed kind of way, but tired in an accomplished kind of way. Like I just did this and I left it all out there. So it's like, okay, I tried really hard and I did it. And now I'm laying on the floor. So now I'm laying on the floor and I'm like breathing heavily and I'm about to pass out and whatever, right? And I'm thankful for the fan. I have this big fan over there that's like, it's like called the Cyclone, I think, and it just blows air. And I will lay down on the floor and tilt that thing like right at my head. And I'll just be but I'm not depressed. And Random, you are absolutely right. Trying to exercise when one has depression is kind of hard. I would take the word kind of out of that and say it's really hard. Because all we want to do when we're depressed is we want to sit there. We don't feel like getting up and doing anything. So you start small, trying to be subtle. Yeah. Good job.
Tact.
So yes, it's already hard when you're not depressed. It is.
Yeah, that's the point of it, though.
It is such a massive changer. even, you know what? And it doesn't have to be like some kind of crazy whacked out hardcore exercise program. I mean, my exercise regimen now is pretty hardcore, but it didn't start that way. It could just be taking a walk. It could be standing up. It could be getting up, doing some jumping jacks, you know, doing one push up. You know, it could be anything. But taking that small step of doing something that you wouldn't normally do, it breaks the downward spiral habit. And it starts moving you upward. I have a family member right now who's dealing with a pretty intense health issue. And he's on some medication that makes all food taste really bad. And, you know, it's really hard. Now, he needs to have some kind of a certain therapy, but in order to get there, he's got to gain some weight. And he's got to get stronger. He's got to be strengthened in order to be able to handle this treatment. And this treatment he needs in order to, you know, fix the issues or what's going on. But he needs to gain weight. But he has a really, really hard time eating. He's kind of had a history of kind of being a picky eater, you know? And so if he doesn't like how something tastes, he just won't eat it and everything. And like the problem is nothing tastes good right now because of some of the medications he's on. And so like he's caught in this downward spiral thing, right? And so eventually what's going to happen, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. You know, somehow or another, he's going to have to figure out how to eat something or have something fed to him, find something that's going to get him over that hump, right? In order to break that habit. Because, I mean, the guy's lost a ton of weight, you know, in a very short period of time because he got sick. And, you know, it's such a painful thing to watch. But it's the same type of principle. Something different has to take place in order to break the downward spiral and get to more of an upward spiral. And that's the same type of thing that you can do here. And what you find is that when you actually finally do the thing that's uncomfortable, first of all, it wasn't nearly as hard as you thought it was going to be. It was way easier. Like, we build stuff up in our minds and we think it's going to be so hard, you know, like even exercise. We think it's going to be hard. But it's not hard to stand up and walk somewhere, necessarily. You know, it's not hard to do something a little bit different. And when you're done with it, it feels great. But in our mind, it turns into this big, gigantic thing, you know, that we fear. So the key is figure out what's the smallest step forward I can make. Take that smallest step. And you're like, oh, this isn't going to be that hard. It's just the smallest step. Maybe it's just the precursor to the thing I know I need to do. You know? And so you take that small step and then, well, that wasn't too bad. What's the next step here? Then you take that next step. And then you take the next step. And before you know it, you start to build some momentum. And that helps out a lot. I see you've got some stuff in the chat. I'm going to turn over to Ryan because I've already talked for a little bit. So, Ryan?
Sure. Bakaberger, you said the anxiety attack causes panic attacks because I'm not used to the feeling of the anxiety attack and I panic. Totally understandable. He said, and it just crushes the light. That's the hardest part because I can't find joy in anything because of anxiety, and it just runs in a loop. Yep, absolutely. So here's a couple of tips for you. Have you ever gotten an anxiety attack over another person's problem? Let's say you have a friend and you learn that they come down with COVID. Do you get an anxiety attack when that happens? Generally, most people, they don't. Most people who have anxiety attacks tend not to. Some people do, but most people don't. Um, and I ask this question because it can help you figure out what's the source of your anxiety attack. Anxiety is a lack of faith. It's either a lack of faith in yourself or it's a lack of faith in the world. And sometimes, for some people, it's a lack of faith in both. In other words, instead of the world, you could say God if you're religious. It's a lack of faith in yourself or a lack of faith in God. And I don't mean, are you going to church every day, that kind of faith. I mean, do you trust that the world is going to be in good hands? And a lot of people can't. Do you trust that you're in good hands with yourself? Do you have faith in yourself? A lot of people, especially people who have anxiety, you can ask them. You don't even have to ask them. You can just talk to them and you'll find out pretty quickly that they don't believe in themselves in anything. You try to compliment them and they're like, no, I'm not good at that. I need a lot of improvement there. And they'll nitpick with themselves all the time. Anxiety comes from fear, not knowing what's going to happen. But the thing is, people who don't have anxiety also don't know what's going to happen. The people who don't have anxiety are as clueless as the people who do have anxiety. The main difference is that one set believes that terrible things will happen and they won't be able to handle it. And the other set believes terrible things could happen, but they'll be able to handle it. The biggest difference for me that helped me with my anxiety was being bold and leaving it in the balance. And doing something bold, doing something that is not like me, doing something that people would look at and stare at me and be like, did he just do that? And then leaving it in the balance and being like, where will that fall? Let's just run a test. Let's see, do people laugh or do people get in shock? Do people scold me? Do people lift me up? What happens here? So let's do something outrageous and see what happens. You know what I found? What I found was I got lots of different reactions. But at the end of the day, I was still me. I still had a body. I could still breathe. I could still think. And the test, it didn't matter what the result was. The answer was, you know what? I might not be in control of everything, but I'm still okay. And I can handle whatever comes. No matter what comes my way, I know that I can only do my best to handle it, right? And I can't handle everything, right? But I know that, here's the thing, when I die, hopefully, right? Hopefully I'll go to heaven, right? But that's only something I can help to try to accomplish by how I live, right? So I have hope, right? Hope is important. What you described about your anxiety is despair. You see, hope creates all things. And I've said this before. Hope creates all things. Despair creates nothing. And if despair ever creates anything, it was simply hope in disguise. Sometimes hope comes to you clothed in the rags of despair because it wants to look attractive. Because sometimes hope knows that it's not attractive. So it comes to you and it approaches you and it appears and it clings to you and it makes you feel bad. And it just like, I feel emptiness. Because what is despair? Despair is emptiness. It is abyss. But the thing about hope is that when it overcomes you and you feel that despair, and yet you get something out of it, it's because despair doesn't know pain. Hope knows pain. Hope is what takes pain and makes it beautiful. Hope is what takes pain and sacrifice and makes something new out of it, right? You don't create a new invention without sacrifice. You don't create anything without sacrificing the tools required or the energy required to make it. So you need to understand sometimes that you might think you're in despair, but a lot of times it's not true despair because you still feel pain. What you're telling me is you have that empty feeling, right? And it makes you scared, right? Emptiness is scary, sure. But the fact that you're scared shows me that there's hope. So the thing that I'm trying to say here is you need to make sure that you have faith and you have hope. Faith in yourself. Because you're going to be okay. You can come through it. You know, you've made it this far in your life and you haven't died yet. And you know what? All your relationships could go wrong. All the people in the world could just like someone puts out a rumor, you become famous about some bad thing. And you didn't even do it and you hate it, right? Happens to people, by the way. That's a real thing that happens to people. And then do you see them in despair? Well, yeah, kind of. They seem despairing, but they haven't given up. They still have hope and they get through it. You'll come out like 3 years later and they're like, hey, he wasn't guilty, by the way. Sorry, our bad. And then he returns and he's got all these supporters around the world who, you know, are like, oh, we're so sorry. Or this guy's awesome. You know, he did these things for my, you know, kid or blah, 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 right? Even those things might seem terrible. A lot of times it's our imagination that's creating these things. It's not even really happening to us. We're just creating all these huge things in our head, these elaborate negative things, even though things might seem bad. Bad things are just a sacrifice to create something better than what they are right now. So when you feel anxiety, understand that that's hope in you trying hard to grasp what is bad and turn it good. So next time you feel anxious, understand that this is my hope inside of me trying to tell me I need to have faith. I need to be bold and let it hang in the balance and see where things fall, just to realize it didn't matter all along. Because at the end of the day, you're still you, you're still good, you can still do incredible things, right? But that's just the truth. We worry so much about things and it only holds us back. So like Joe was saying, you have to make changes, right? You have to do something that's different, right? And so that's why I said, be bold and let it hang in the balance. And that will train you to improvise. If you're good at improvising, right? You improvise every day. When you hold a conversation in your own head, that's improvisation. When you think about something, that's improvisation. When you talk to somebody, that's improvisation. When you decide how you want to walk up the stairs, that's improvisation, right? You improvise all the time. But you have to trust in your own improvisation skills that you're going to get through whatever happens. And the more trust you have in yourself, the more smoothly those things go over, right? You could be a laughing stock of the class. You could I don't know. I've done it before. I've had people watch as I slip on the ice and face plant into a pile of snow. Ugh. And I got up and a bunch of people were laughing at me. But you know what? At that point in my life, I had just discovered this principle. And I had just started to gain faith in myself. And I didn't let it knock me down. I took that moment, I stood up, I looked around, and I just went, that was hilarious. And I moved on. And I laughed with the people because it was funny. It was funny. I could imagine someone else doing that and laughing, it was funny that I happened to slip and face plant. I'm happy I didn't get hurt, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
when something terrible happened, I the faith I had in myself, because I knew I could improvise on the spot and decide, how do I want to feel about this? I'm just gonna take it and go, yep, that's reality. This is reality right now. Let's embrace it. Yep. This is my reality right now. It's neither, I mean, I might think it's bad at first, but it doesn't mean it's not good. I can turn it into something real good real fast. So this is my reality. I'm just gonna embrace it. And I'm gonna embrace it hard. I'm gonna dig into it. I'm gonna be like, yeah, that totally just happened. That was awesome. Um, because we trip and fall all the time. It's okay. We can get back up, you know? So um yeah, I think there was one other thing I want to talk about, but I can't remember what it is. And if I don't remember, that's all right. Joe, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about or say?
Well, there was one thing that I forgot to mention, and I was like, I'm gonna mention this. Like, this is the first thing I want to mention, and it because I know that when I was dealing with this issue years ago, when I was having major anxiety attacks and panic attacks and stuff like that, I just didn't know how to make heads or tails of what I was thinking, and it was confusing to me. And I noticed that you mentioned, Baka, that these feelings are new, and so it's like, I'm just trying to figure out what the reason is. I don't know what's going on. And for me, I had to talk to a psychologist. There are people that know how the brain works, how the brain can get to certain points and stuff like that. That's what they've studied. That's what they've learned through other people who have studied all this kind of stuff, right? And so I had to go seek professional help. And so one of the things that I would encourage you to do is don't be afraid of doing that. I'm not telling you necessarily need to do that. I'm not saying, hey, go seek a professional. Absolutely. Well, all I'm saying is, if this is a problem, if this is something, and you're trying to make heads or tails, you just can't figure out, how did I get to this point and what is going on in my brain, it might be worth at least a phone call and a consultation, to talk to somebody and just try and figure out what's going on. In a lot of areas, you can find like a community program that's free. I know that in my area, there are paid psychologists, and there's also like the community mental health um, place where you can go and talk to somebody. But I tell you, don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid to do that, and don't think that, oh, if I do this, then I'm gonna be weird, or I'm gonna be one of those people that sees a psychiatrist or whatever. No, they are there for a reason. And for me, when I was dealing with this, that's what it took to get me out of that. I had to figure out how to make heads or tails of what my brain was doing. And my doctor helped me do that, through listening and helping, just kind of guiding me in that direction. So I would definitely encourage you to, if you are finding yourself with no answers and you're having some trouble, then don't be afraid to do that. So, but that's pretty much all I had. And so, Ryan, back to you.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks. No, I couldn't remember what I had to say, so I guess um, I'll hold my tongue. But thank you for the question, Baka Breaker. It's a fantastic question, and I hope that what we've suggested might help. I know that um, you know, anxiety isn't an easy thing, and taking a step forward can be very difficult. But I think you've already started to do that. So keep taking steps forward. I think that that's really important. Um, and if I would encourage re-listening to everything what we just said, because it might have been a lot to take in, and it, you know, sometimes, like, I know I've listened to certain CDs that are like talks or speeches that are like self-help or religious or whatever. And I listened to it, and like the fourth time I listened to it, I'm like, wait a minute, how did I miss that? How did I miss that every single time I listened to that until just now? That's brilliant. That part is brilliant. How did I miss that?
I'm not necessarily saying you're gonna have that same experience with our conversation here. You're not. You might not be able to say that's brilliant.
Yeah, maybe not. That part you can leave that part out because, of course. But yeah, no, I've had that many times. So if you're feeling up to it, feel free to listen to that again, because I know anxiety can be a hard thing, and sometimes you need a little motivation, something to kick you in the butt a little bit to get you moving, or to get you trying something new, something bold, something different, whatever. But anyways, with that said, I think this is going to be the end of the stream since it's that time. We went a little over, but that's all right. I think we started a little late, so it's all fine. But thank you all for coming. You guys are fantastic, and we love you all. And again, just to let you know, we're going to be starting an hour early next week, and
we're going to try to.
We're going to try. We're going to try to start an hour early this next week and then on. So remember to come and bring your popcorn early. Start the microwave up, an hour and 20 minutes ahead of time. All right.
We're gonna be hoping when does to start at 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, 8 p.m. It's currently 11:15 p.m. Eastern time. So 3 hours ago. 3 hours ago on Wednesday is when we plan to start. So hopefully that works for whatever time zone you're in. 3 hours ago.
Yeah. Snowlock says, what does CDVNL stand for? It's actually Cedivinal.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It doesn't stand for anything, really. It's just some random letters. We put the alphabet into a randomizer, and that's the 5 letters that popped out.
Yep. Yeah, we plan to start an hour early, so thus end an hour early, but go for the same 2-hour time frame. Yeah. Thank you guys for being here with us. We love you all, and we hope to see you all next week. And until then, have an amazing life, and bye-bye.
Love you guys. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Bye.